The Nintendo Switch 2 might be coming out sooner than you even realize. Oh man, where do we start with this? You see, I've been paying a lot of attention to Nintendo over the years. Naturally, we've been covering them right here on this channel for, man, almost 8 years. Not quite 8 years, but pretty close to 8 years. And I gotta be honest, they have some consistent patterns they do. But today is not about those patterns. Today we actually have two specific reasons that we might even know not just when Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out, like a rough timetable, we may even know the exact day. Now, before I dive into this, I want to make sure I give full credit out to a video I was watching earlier today that inspired this one by 2's Restart, because he seems to be the one that actually figured this all out. That's right. He figured out when Nintendo Switch 2 is probably coming out, and it looks like it's sooner than even I expected. And if you paid attention to my channel, I've said several times, I thought it was going to happen in June. I still think there is a chance it could be in June. But after watching this video, I am wholly convinced that it is happening much sooner than that. So before we dive in, I want to remind you, we are on the road to 150,000 subscribers. If you're enjoying the content, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel. Also, if you like this video, drop a like and head down to the comments below as well and let me know how excited you are for Nintendo Switch 2. Or if you're not excited, why you're not. That's just as important as well. All right, so there's really two big reasons in watching 2's Restart's video that I am now convinced that Nintendo Switch 2 is coming at a very specific time. Now, if you go ahead and watch his video, and I highly suggest you do, he does get into a bunch of math about the Nintendo Switch 1 reveal and when the January event happened and when release happened and all these Switch experiences they did back there, because, hey, we got Switch 2 experiences. Congratulations to those out there that got accepted, and those like me that didn't. It is what it is. But what I want to think about in this exact moment is about the reveal date. Well, he does a lot of fancy math, and I think you can use math to come to any conclusion you want. Statistics can be manipulated in a billion different ways. And as he went through, well, this section here on his video.
It was 85 days from reveal to big presentation for Switch 1, and it's 76 days for Switch 2. And so I actually think we may be pacing for an even quicker turnaround than 4.5 months here. So to be exact, the window of time between the reveal for Switch 1 and the release for Switch 1 was 134 days. Which, if you assume a month is 30 days, 30 times 4 is 120 days, that's 4 months, plus 14 days, about 2 weeks, that's 4 months and 2 weeks, about 4 months and a half, or as I say here, 4 months and 11 days. Obviously, they calculated months a little bit differently, but you get my point. It is about 4.5 months, but it is also exactly 134 days. So, if you take 76 divided by 85, what we get here is 0.894. So basically, the gap of time between reveal and big presentation, this time, is just about 89% compared to the wait we had back for Switch 1. So if we apply that to the amount of days we have to wait from reveal to release for Switch 1, 134 times 0.894, we get 119.796. You round that up, that would place us at 120 days. And then 120 days after January 16th places us close to May 15th.
I had a bit of a laugh because you could twist math in any way you want to say anything you wanted to say. Numbers are numbers. Think about all the times we've joked around over the decades about, if you do this, do that, minus it, blah, 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 Half-Life 3, right? So I don't really buy that much into the math arguments, but there's two particular arguments that we know, or at least think we know, Nintendo Switch 2 is actually not coming out in June, but coming out in May, and coming out before all the Nintendo Switch 2 experiences are done, because a lot of the basis around thinking June is obviously the report that we had from that Spanish Nintendo website that they heard it was coming out in June. Nate the Hate also sort of supported it coming out in June. And then, the Switch 2 experience, the very last one, happens on June 1st. So, June is sort of a safe bet. But there's two reasons to think it might be May. Not just might be, probably will be. First off, there is a gap in the Nintendo Switch 2 experiences. For some reason, we have Switch 2 experiences happening worldwide, first in the US and some other countries, but first in the US in April, then other countries as well, all the way till May 11th. All right? What do you mean May 11th? Did you say the last one's on June 1st? Oh, I did. I did say the last one's on June 1st. Except there is no Switch 2 experience happening anywhere in the world between May 11th and May 31st. There's a gap of a couple weeks in there. Why? Why is there a gap of this couple weeks? I don't know. There's nothing really particular going on. We have PAX East, but PAX East kind of goes through the May 11th, May 12th weekend. So that probably isn't the reason. So what is going on? There's no other gaming events happening. There's that 2-week gap. All right, fine. You could argue that that's just coincidence. Doesn't really mean much. Well, what about a game that a lot of people believe is coming to Nintendo Switch 2? Some people think it's day and date. Not officially announced. A lot of these third-party games aren't officially announced yet because I think Nintendo has everyone on NDAs until April 2nd at this point. Doom: The Dark Ages. That's right, we just saw it at the Xbox event and we got the release date. The release date is May 15th. Now, this is notable because May 15th is a Thursday. Keep this in the back of your mind. Thursday. Who releases their products and games now on Thursdays? Nintendo made this change last year. Nintendo. Nintendo drops all their stuff on Thursdays. And you might go, okay, but what's it really matter if Microsoft does a Thursday? Because Microsoft's day, their typical day of release is Tuesday. South of midnight, Tuesday. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Tuesday. They do Tuesday releases, not Thursday. Now, if you go way back in Microsoft's history, you can find some games from like a decade ago that were released on Thursdays. Just like you can find Nintendo used to release games on Tuesdays, used to release games on Wednesdays, used to release games on Fridays, right? Companies do this cyclical thing of changing. But the difference is Microsoft announced dates for other games this year that all landed on Tuesday for a release. But for some reason, Doom: The Dark Ages is dropping on a Thursday. A Thursday that happens to be after and in between Switch 2 experiences, where there's a couple week gap, and then also on the same day that Nintendo does their releases now. Could May 15th then be the day in which Switch 2 is releasing, and Doom: The Dark Ages kind of gave it away? I think it's possible, if not probable, to be the case. Now, I want to note, there is some doubt you can throw on this theory, and this doubt comes from none other than Nate the Hate himself over on Family Boards, where he has thrown a little water on the idea that Doom: The Dark Ages is day and date on Switch 2. Because for May 15th to be the date, and it be leaked by Doom: The Dark Ages, that means Doom: The Dark Ages would need to be a launch game for Nintendo Switch 2. And while we got the prior two games, including Doom Eternal, I think that we can't assume something until it's officially announced. And the reason that Nate the Hate put out some doubt on is because he personally hasn't heard that Doom: The Dark Ages is even being worked on for Switch 2 right now. But just because he hasn't heard about it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's just he hasn't heard that it's happening. He does note in one of his posts that, maybe it's being worked on. He just, and for some reason, doesn't know. And that happens. It could be outsourced to a team that he's got no contact with, so he doesn't really know. But to me, it is convenient that game happens to land on a Thursday. In addition to that Thursday being when there's a 2-week gap between Nintendo Switch 2 experiences. Also of note, why would there be a gap? Well, it looks like the Nintendo Switch experience in some countries was happening after Nintendo Switch came out on March 3rd. That's like the big argument here, because Nintendo doesn't release, even though they did like a worldwide launch on March 3rd, like it came to China at a different time, it came to Brazil at a different time. Like Nintendo doesn't necessarily like do these worldwide releases. They just mean their major markets release at the same time. But in terms of like the rest of the world and specific countries, they often get released at different times. So that whole May 31st, June 1st thing could be the weekend before it launches in that given country. So that's sort of the argument why there could still be a Nintendo Switch 2 experience after the system's already come out, because that country it might not have released in yet. Now, that I think is a fun theory. It's a fun theory that I think is highly probable. But I want to throw one more one more wrench in there. June is really packed, right? We got Summer Game Fest. We're going to have the Xbox Showcase, the PlayStation Showcase. We're going to have probably a big Nintendo Direct as well, because Nintendo usually goes hard in June. We're going to have Ubisoft and so many other companies giving presentations. And there's even going to be a Summer of Play event, which is like a mini E3 in-person play event for media only. Maybe I end up going to that. I don't know, especially if there's Switch 2 games there. It is highly likely Nintendo wants their system out before then, because then it would become the talk of all of those events. Oh, that Microsoft presentation? Hey, Switch 2 logos are now in all their trailers. Oh, Summer Game Fest? Yeah, maybe Nintendo doesn't present anything there, but it's going to feel like they're there because all these games have Nintendo Switch 2 logos in them. And with the system already out, those companies can line up their release dates for all those games when they want to do them instead of waiting for Nintendo to kind of give them permission. So I do feel like there is a high chance of that particular date. Now, speaking of Nate the Hate tossing doubt on the Doom the Dark Ages as a launch game thing, Nate the Hate said something on his podcast a while back that we talked about how he heard about a May event, but he didn't know what the event was. At the time, he assumed it might be the Nintendo Switch 2 blowout event. Well, we now know that's happening on April 2nd, the giant Switch 2 Direct. That's the blowout. So what is this May event? Well, he didn't know what the May event was. He just knew it was happening. What if that May event was a launch event? Something he didn't really explore. He said, maybe it could launch by the end of May. What if that May event was literally that? It's a launch event. A special launch event happening at Nintendo New York and all that stuff, right? What if it's just a launch event? A special launch celebration. Just throwing that out there. Where the rumors lacked information. Lots of speculation around them, but lacked information that could actually support this May launch. Combined with Doom the Dark Ages on the 15th, combined with that 2-week gap, combined with the fact that Nintendo had Nintendo Switch experiences after launch for other countries that didn't have Nintendo Switch yet. So again, full credit to Andres Restart. If you want to go into his math and go through some of the extra crazy reasoning he throws out there, much love to the guy. He does amazing work. But I had to bring this to you guys because I honestly think that this is now the single most believable release date and release timing for Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I do think we're not going to have to wait forever to find out. I do think April 2nd, Nintendo is going to tell us the release date. I think that is going to be one of the final things they reveal is, hey, Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out on this day in this month. So I do believe that's going to happen because I think pre-orders are going to open up that same day as well. So again, April 2nd is going to reveal everything. But it's going to be interesting to find out if this is right or if my original hunch for June was right. I guess we'll find out. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. I am Nathaniel Robogents from Nintendo Prime, and of course, I'll catch each and every one of you in the next video.